Yesterday, Garcia's defense attorneys are hoping to regain their right to practice law here in Nebraska.
But as we reported Thursday, in order to apply for that right, they must have a team of local lawyers on board with them. The Matas, Allison, Robert, and Robert Jr., all from Illinois, said they would do it.
Yeah, we'll get local counsel and move forward.
And they did. The Matas have found a local team again. This time, it consists of attorney Jeremy Jorgensen, among others, who aren't commenting on the case at this time. Now, this all comes after the Matas lost their previous team of local lawyers. You see, those lawyers withdrew from the case following a number of ethical issues the Matas were accused of. So now that Garcia's attorneys have the local support to reapply for their right to practice law in Nebraska, it's up to the judge to decide whether to allow them back on. There's a hearing slated for Monday morning, but when a decision will come is really anybody's guess.
I don't know how soon it will be, but the judge might take an advisement. The judge might rule right then.
It was County Attorney Don Klein who filed a motion that the Matas be removed from the case to begin with. He and his team stand firm that the Matas violated the state's rules of professional conduct after they made statements about the case to the media. Klein says he is not letting them reapply without a fight.
We're going to object to their being back on the case.
I did meet up with Jorgensen at his office today. Again, he declined to go on camera, but he did tell me that he had a very long meeting with the Matas last night. He says he advised them not to speak with the media anymore and that he would be making all the comments from here on out. He said he'd have much more to say on Monday following the hearing. WOWT6 News is there as Omaha Police opens an investigation into a reported shooting this afternoon.
We found police over at the crime lab, along with the crime lab, at the Mega Saver near 24th and P. A sergeant tells WOWT6 News that a man showed up with an arm injury. This was about 10 minutes after a report of shots fired just about 5 blocks over. After talking with the man, officers did not believe that he had been shot. It appears he was actually drunk and had somehow cut his arm.
There was concern because this store is the same location of a recent high-profile crime. Just 2 weeks ago, a startled robber shot up the store, grazing an employee. The suspect is behind bars tonight. A side note here, he's just 15 years old.
Meanwhile, it's an 11-year-old Omaha boy that's finding himself in trouble with more than just the law after shooting a priest with a pellet gun.
The incident took place Wednesday night in northwest Omaha. WOWT6 News reporter Don Granese picks up the story from there.
According to this Omaha police report, Father Time Weisbecker of St. James Church was walking along Tomahawk Boulevard just after 9 p.m. on Wednesday night when an 11-year-old in an orange hoodie pulled out a pellet gun and shot him 3 times in the head. The priest was told to give up his money and put his cell phone down. He was trying to call 911. Well, the priest told the officers which way the young man ran, and it was actually the boy's mother who flagged down police. So we've spoken to the mother and people over at St. James, so we'll be gathering all these details, putting them together for tonight at 10.
As Don mentioned, we have reached out to the priest and we're looking to bring you all the sides of this story.
We are there for the verdict. An Omaha man facing up to 210 years in prison. This after a terrifying kidnapping and stabbing in southwest Omaha.
Dylan Doblin pleaded guilty today to 6 of the felony charges against him. Last July, he abducted a woman from a daycare in Sarpy County. The woman was stabbed as she managed to get away.
Today, prosecutors say the state is satisfied with the verdict.
Yes, I believe that it represents the crimes that occurred here. I think that it gives the judge a lot of potential in terms of what's to fashion an appropriate sentence. So I think it was a good resolution.
Doblin will be sentenced on June 27th.
All right, scattered showers with ice pellets. Not exactly what you would say comfortable.
That's why we have to check in with meteorologist Jared Robinson. He's joining us now with a look up at your hour-by-hour forecast. And Jared, I'm hoping you're not getting pelted with any sleet. Is that stuff out of here yet?
Yeah, it looks like it's to our south, but I'm getting pelted with the wind right now. It's been relentless since I got up here. Temperature's already in the 40s, so you can bet on a blustery evening if you're about to head out. Good news is, as you guys were mentioning, some sleet and some rain showers mixed in earlier, now down to the south. Those will continue to move south as we head through the next several hours, and I think they're out of here by around 9 o'clock tonight. So let's take a look at the satellite and radar picture here for you. And you're going to see that these showers, in most of them south of I-80 at this point, already moving into southeastern Nebraska. At this point, looking at just rain showers. And again, they should be out of here before 9 p.m. tonight, so you're all good if you're heading out for your evening plans. Just keep in mind, temperatures are in the 40s, and with this blustery northwest wind, you're definitely going to want the heavier coat ready to go. It's 47 in Omaha, 43 in Council Bluffs, and 44 in Oakland. The rest of the night, we're going to keep the skies clearing, and by around midnight tonight, clear skies with temperatures in the mid to upper 30s. So chilly start tomorrow morning with temperatures right around freezing. The upside is, although it'll be cool Saturday, we're looking at a nice warm up as we head into Sunday. We'll break down the full details on that forecast for you guys coming up in just a bit.
You know, just as Jared was leaving to head up to the weather deck, he said, up and away. And he's not kidding. It really looks windy enough to blow you away out there, Jared.
I know. I'm hanging on for dear life.
Stay safe out there, Jared. All right, meanwhile, there were about 600 visitors on the Creighton campus today, and no, they weren't there for a ball game or even an event.
They were actually looking for help, and thanks to a gym full of volunteers, many of them found it.
Everybody likes sausage, don't they?
The no food in the gym rule was being enthusiastically ignored this morning at the Kiewit Fitness Center on the Creighton campus. A hot meal is the first step here at Project Homeless Connect Omaha. The plan is to get homeless people in our community the help they need. About 600 homeless people are here, and each gets their own volunteer called a navigator to help them find their way around. The navigators are members of the community and students from Creighton.
As a future medical student and in the medical career, I like listening to people's stories and what they have to say, and I think this is a great opportunity to do that. I've helped a couple people today that shared some pretty interesting stuff about me, about where they like to do and travel, so I really like that part of it.
Chelsea and Jenny are both at the Stevens Center right now, and both are looking for a more permanent home and some medical care.
I think it's awesome. I really do, because I know there's a lot of people out there that need help and everything, so I think it's a really good thing.
I think it's a great opportunity for people to get out here and get help that they need as far as the medical, vision, dental.
And this is the place to look. Navigators can help their clients find everything from housing to job leads to legal assistance. Social service agencies from all over the city are here too. There's also medical and dental help available. One-stop shopping for people trying to turn their lives around. It's good for the homeless, but it's also a great experience for the volunteers. Just ask Annie DeWitt, Chelsea's navigator.
This is my first time volunteering for Project Homeless, and I just kind of did it on a whim because I didn't work today, so I was like, I want to come out here and volunteer, and met Chelsea, and it's been really fun.
DeWitt says she'll be back next year, and no doubt she'll be needed. With Chief Photographer Mike Plews, Aaron Murray, WOWT 6 News.
This is the 9th year Creighton has put on Project Homeless Connect Omaha.
Happening on our streets, no injuries to report in a crash that might have tied up your morning commute. Just before 9 o'clock this morning, fire and rescue crews had to be called out for a reported 4-car crash at 72nd and Pacific. At the time, there was a cause for alarm. Radio reports indicated that one of the vehicles might have caught fire. Fortunately, if there was a fire, it was a pretty small one, and even better, we're told no one was hurt here. Also happening, we now know what happened inside an Omaha home where 3 people were shot. The story was local breaking news back on March 23rd. A man was found dead, another wounded, and a woman showed up for help at the hospital. At the time, police believed it was a domestic incident. Today, police say Theodore Williams shot a man and a woman and then killed himself. Also happening, we are learning new details about a shooting in southwest Omaha that sent a man to the hospital. We reported this story as local breaking news on Thursday, live at 5. Officers were called to an apartment complex on D Plaza, just east of 132nd Street. It was a few minutes after 5. Now, a man there told police he was walking the parking lot when he heard gunshots and actually realized he'd been hit. He wasn't hurt too badly. However, as soon as he got patched up, Wisdom McKee, pictured here, was booked on jail or sent to jail on 2 misdemeanor warrants. Not a good day for him.
In a glitzy rollout, automaker Tesla has unveiled its new Model 3. At a starting price of $35,000, it's less than half the cost of Tesla's previous models. The high-tech car is seen by many as a key test of whether the firm can pull off a relatively affordable electric vehicle. Tesla CEO Elon Musk says the car will go at least 215 miles when fully charged. about double what drivers get from current competitors in its price range. More than 180,000 people have already put down a $1,000 deposit for one of the new cars that you see here. You can look for them starting late next year.
Still to come, we are there for a very big honor for a high school basketball star. Jeff Packer is going to have that story later in sports.
Plus, taking a look outside from our CityCam network, traffic looks to be, well, at a complete standstill on I-80 eastbound near the 680 interchange. Meteorologist Jared Robinson has our full hour-by-hour forecast in just a few minutes.
But next up, bracing for the bugs that come with warmer weather. How experts are working together in just 2 minutes in Family Health.
And just this quick reminder, all of our newscasts are streamed live to your tablet, smartphone, and computer. Just click on the link on our homepage. This is WOWT6 News, live at 5.
Prism TV has all your favorite channels, tons of live sports, and more, all in crystal clear HD. Watch when and where you want with advanced features like our wireless set-top box, whole home DVR, and Prism on the go, and choose from a variety of great packages to fit your home. Call 800-494-2818 and get started with the Prism Essential TV bundle. You'll get TV plus up to 40 megs of CenturyLink internet, all for only $70 a month. This deal sounds great, especially if you love sports.
Get Prism Essential TV and up to 40 megs of internet for only $70 a month. Score!
Or if you love great movies.
Hey, Clementine, go on and get Prism Essential TV with up to 40 megs of internet for only $70 a month.
Yeah! Call 800-494-2818. Get started with Prism Essential TV plus up to 40 megs of internet speed. Just $70 a month for a year. Speed may not be available in your area. Only from CenturyLink. Call and switch today.
There's a difference between making a living and making a life. For your family, your children, for yourself. That's why we choose to run our bank the way we do. Because it's never just about banking. And we're not just another bank. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be.
Spring is here, and so is Fairway's two-day sale this Friday and Saturday. Start the morning right with Fairway 100% pure orange juice. 64-ounce cartons are only 99 cents. It's great pizza for a great price. Jack's original thin crust pizzas are just 5 for $10. Nabisco Oreos make a tasty treat no matter how you eat them. Packages are $1.98. Got a case of the munchies? Frito-Lay Doritos will fix that, and select varieties are $1.98. Don't miss Fairway's two-day sale this Friday and Saturday.
WOWT 6 News. Welcome home.
In tonight's Family Health, mosquito season is right around the corner, and with it comes the potential for the Zika virus to spread in many parts of the country. That's why hundreds of doctors, scientists, and mosquito experts gathered today at the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta. Here's NBC health reporter Erica Edwards.
This is the mosquito, the Aedes aegypti that's mostly to blame for spreading the Zika virus, and the reason scientists from all over the country have gathered for a summit at the Centers for Disease Control.
Zika is already in the U.S. and territories.
The urgent concern is for pregnant women. There's growing evidence Zika can cross the placenta of an infected pregnant woman, invading the brain of the developing fetus, causing severe birth defects.
If we wait until we see widespread transmission in the United States, if we wait until the public is panicking because they're seeing babies born with birth defects in every state or across the country, we have waited too long.
State and local health officials are working to develop game plans now, identifying areas to spray insecticide and educating women who may become pregnant about the best ways to avoid infection.
Use mosquito repellent. It's safe in pregnancy. Wear long sleeves, long pants. Do things to mosquito-proof your house with screens, potentially some indoor spraying, and reducing standing water.
The blue area on this map shows where the Aedes aegypti mosquito could show up this summer. Most of the southern portion of the country, as well as parts of the Northeast and Midwest. A representative from the White House made a special plea to mothers, calling on them to urge Congress to approve nearly $2 billion in emergency Zika funding. At the CDC, Erica Edwards, NBC News.
Now a look at some of the top headlines, reasons to watch the NBC Nightly News.
Coming up tonight for us, with Chicago seeing its deadliest start of the year in decades, a man appears to have captured his own shooting on his cell phone. We'll look at what's happening there. Arsenic in baby rice cereal. It's there in tiny amounts, why the FDA now worries it could still be too much. And a look at what could be driving late-night shopping binges online when we see you back here tonight.
WT is proud to partner with Make-A-Wish Nebraska to give wishes wings.
All April, donate your airline miles to help Nebraska Wish Kids travel to destinations around the world.
Help wishes take flight and donate your miles today.
Join me on the 6th of every month as I discuss health innovations with top physicians and staff at Fremont Health who are leading the way with state-of-the-art technology. Don't miss Health Check Wednesday.
People who have suffered from painful headaches or migraines and have tried everything from medication to acupuncture are now finding relief thanks to a quick and painless outpatient procedure done by a doctor at Fremont Health.
Get your prescription filled on the 6th of every month.
Make an appointment for Health Check every 6th of the month, only on WOWT 6 News. Presented by Fremont Health, leading the way.
Dogs and kids in your yard playing hard. After the fun and the sun, you gotta reseed your lawn. Come on down to the grass pad. The grass pad's high on grass.
Understanding the election starts with understanding the people who will decide it.
You're a small business owner. You have caucused before. You're a Democrat. Explain to me this process, what it's like to go.
Today's weather brought to you locally by Heartland Chevy Dealers.
Each truck brand offers best-in-class HD towing, best V8 horsepower, and has this year's Motor Trend Truck of the Year. They're all Chevys. That's impressive.
See your local Chevy dealer today.
Hey, good evening and welcome back. Well, we had some reports of some snow in some areas today. It would have been brief, and it's already quickly moving off to the south. The upside is the sunshine starting to come out here as clouds break apart, and we'll continue to see a little sunshine towards the end of the day, especially areas north of I-80. Still south of I-80, we have some scattered showers, a little bit of snow possibly mixing in, but for the most part, these are just going to be rain showers as we take a look here at the regional satellite picture. You can see some clearing skies there out to the west and up to the north, and that's all heading our way as we get into the weekend. Closer shot here as you see those showers move across the metro earlier today. I think we're pretty much done for the night, so you can head out without any worry of rain, but you will have to worry about these chilly temperatures as we're sitting at 47 degrees right now in Omaha with a brisk northwest wind. You can probably hear it against the mic. 44 in Plattsmouth, 45 in Atlantic, and we have 43 in Lincoln and 45 in Beatrice. So a little bit chilly as you head out for your evening plans. The wind does die down just a little bit tonight, but it picks right back up as we head into your Saturday morning. At the moment, between about 15 to 25 miles per hour, but some gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour, not out of the question here over the next hour or so. You have a cold front sweeping across the area, so that's why you're feeling these winds pick up. Now, hour-by-hour forecast here to help you plan your evening. Again, bundle up the jacket, the coat, the sweatshirt. You'll need it tonight. I've got the gloves on, but that's just because I'm standing out in it. If you're just running in and outside, you're going to be A-okay with just a jacket or a coat on. Skies clear as we head towards midnight tonight. Temperatures drop into the 30s by around midnight. We'll keep the 30s around as we start off your Saturday morning, but again, we will have a breezy northwest wind once again tomorrow, so anything you see on the thermometer is not quite what it's going to feel like as you head out the door. So upper 40s to low 50s right at lunchtime. As we head into the afternoon, if you're going to be out some soccer games, take the blanket with you. Again, the wind really whipping around tomorrow. Probably have a lot of flying soccer balls out at those fields. And then mid to upper 50s will be your high temperatures. Plenty of sunshine, so that is the upside. With the cooler weather tomorrow, we will have lots of sunshine to enjoy. So your evening forecast, I'll keep it in the yellow alert at 7 o'clock, especially for you folks, again, south of I-80 for an isolated rain shower. Otherwise, clearing clouds and our temperatures fall off into the 30s by 11 o'clock tonight. Here's how the next 3 days shape up, and here's how your weekend looks. We're going to keep it in the green alert. Breezy northwest winds on Saturday. 57 degrees will be the high, but never quite feeling like the 50s tomorrow. Look at the turnaround, though. 20-degree difference from Saturday's high to Sunday's high. You can think that on a southwest wind that will also be breezy as we head through your Sunday. And then Monday, right back to the 50s. The ups and downs of spring continue here as we head out of March and into April. So we are looking at a chilly start to the weekend, but we do get one warm day in the mix, and that will be Sunday. But both days, guys, we're still talking about some breezy winds to go along with it.
Yeah, did you see Sunday? Inching closer to that 80-degree mark. And guess who's off Sunday?
Yeah, well,
I know I'm off Sunday.
You guys can enjoy the
rubbing
wind.
that in a little bit.
I'll stay inside, avoid the wind. I'll take the 70s and 80s when it's nice and calm.
Thank you very much, Jared.
All right, when it comes to getting kids excited for a big test, you have to get a bit creative.
Yeah, really creative. Well, this certainly made us smile today. A Stormtrooper pep rally, yes, you heard that right, is gearing up for NISA testing. This was the exciting scene early today at Manchester Elementary, filled with, is that Wookiees?
Wookiees, yeah.
Wookiees and young Jedi. That's plural for Jedi as well? I know nothing about this. Well, anyway, they're a national group that uses Star Wars to raise funds for charities.
And of course, sometimes it just makes the kids happy.
That's what we live for. That's why we do these events, just seeing the joy on the children's faces. You know, just knowing that they get to live what they've only seen on the movie screen.
The teachers at Manchester Elementary are hoping the force might awaken some inspired students as they prepare to take the state-mandated exams. Think Wookiees, like, you know, think of well, that's a bad example, but you know, the big guy, the hairy one.
Not familiar with
Chewie.
that. Chewbacca.
There you go.
Okay,
She got
I'm catching on. Well, a big honor for a high school basketball star. We'll have his story coming up.
Plus, the hot streak continues for the UNO Mavericks. Jeff Packer has our highlights next in sports. You're watching WOWT 6 News, live at 5.
From the first building block to the last coat of paint, Menards is here to help you build all of your projects with an 11% rebate on everything. Whether you're creating a new kitchen or a backyard getaway, you'll save 11% on all of it, so you can finish your latest project and start planning the next big thing. Get building with an 11% rebate on everything now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Our home is filled with inspiring people, providing a smile, telling stories, and creating memories you will never forget. We are WOWT 6 News. Welcome home.
Something big, something really big is headed to Nebraska Furniture Mart this weekend only. This big thing means you'll save half off suggested retail on every living room, every dining room, bedroom, every carpet and area rug, half off. Including this reclining sofa for $649, half off. Get store-wide 24-month no-interest financing and big deals on appliances and electronics, including $100 off this Star Wars laptop. Hurry in today to Nebraska Furniture Mart, because after the savings event moves through, it's gone.
With Prism TV from CenturyLink, you can get over 320 channels, whole home DVR, plus you can watch on your devices. And the best part is, you don't have to deal with cable.
We love not having cable, but Paul, babe, when was this headshot taken?
Oh, I don't know. Recently, I guess?
Okay.
Yeah.
So like recently?
Feel like a Hollywood insider with Prism TV from CenturyLink.
With the help of Comfort Keepers, I'm keeping my mom healthy.
I'm keeping Dad on schedule.
I'm keeping my mom happy. Comfort Keepers in-home professional caregivers can provide meal planning and preparation, health and wellness services, and personal care services through custom care plans that can change as needs change, so your aging loved ones can stay happy and healthy in their own home.
Comfort Keepers, keeping the comfort of home.
Covering your home team. Now, sports with Jeff Packer.
UNO baseball ace Tyler Fox has won 6 straight in as many starts. Perhaps the only thing hotter than the senior right-hander's win total is his team's. Fox and the Mavs sit atop the Summit standings with a 5-1 record. They lead Western Illinois 4-0 when Fox gets a whiff to end the top of the 5th. So we head to the bottom half of the frame. It's cold. Warm up with some hot chocolate. Grant Saponchek warms up with a drill right past the pitcher into center. Ryan Cate hot wheels it all the way from second. UNO plates another. They win 6-1. Their 6th win in the Summit keeps them in first place. This week, Gretna basketball's Jared Samuelson committed to North Dakota State. Tonight he'll play in the Boys and Girls Club All-Star Game. But first, he added another big moment to his resume. He's Mr. Basketball 2016. Nebraska High School Hoops is an organization that tracks the prep game across the state and it honored Samuelson this afternoon. The outgoing senior helped Gretna to the Class B title this year and more than 50 wins in the past 2 seasons. Now he'll walk on for NDSU.
I've gone out as a senior pretty great fashion, I would say. It's been fun and exciting, and this is just another thing to add to it. People that have gotten this award are all great players. I'm just happy to get this award heading up to Fargo next year. I'm excited to join that Bison family up there, and it's a great honor to go up there.
Samuelson holds 13 school records at Gretna. 13. It'd be pretty nice to have your name attached to 13 different categories.
You don't?
Zero. Zero of the records at Millard North High School belong to this guy. In any sport, any activity?
I have a few there. I didn't even attend there.
I'm with Jeff.
Ouch.
I cheered on the sidelines. That counts for something, right?
I did not. I sat on my couch.
We'll be right back after this.
Are Allegra gel caps? Relief before the movie starts, fast.
I didn't know you got a cat, fast.
For allergy symptoms, Allegra is the fastest non-drowsy relief you can buy.
We're going out in an hour, fast.
Allegra gel caps, not just fast, Allegra fast, guaranteed or your money back.
For high-quality windows, which would you choose? Windows without a lifetime warranty? Or Champion windows with frame, glass, and installation warranted for life and guaranteed to cost less than renewal by Andersen. Right now, Champion will beat renewal's price by 15% or pay you $1,000. So call 888-4CHAMPION today. Hurry, offer ends soon. Windows guaranteed for life and guaranteed to cost you less. Every home needs a Champion.
When you get 1 gig internet from CenturyLink and Prism TV, and they're both delivered on a super fast fiber network directly to your home, it's amazing.
It is amazing. But do you think his delivery was a little flat on that one?
Yeah. Paul, I think it's a little bit more like, it's amazing.
Oh, Mom, that was really good. Amazing.
Wow.
Feel like a Hollywood insider.
Okay, I'll work on that.
With Prism TV plus gig internet speed from CenturyLink.
When I come here, I like to play basketball. We just have fun. And when I don't get my homework done home, I can bring it here. If the Salvation Army was not here to help me, I would be in a lot of trouble.
Help support local children's programs by attending the Salvation Army DJ's Hero Awards luncheon featuring keynote speaker, Hall of Fame coach Mike Ditka. The event begins at 11:45 at the CenturyLink Center, May 10th. Go to salarmyomaha.org for information.
Honey, how do I look?
Lovely. Never ever change.
Oh, you're just saying that.
And I'm saying it with the way you look tonight, April 2nd and 3rd at the Holland Center, as the Omaha Symphony joins a cast of Broadway stars, singing and dancing to Gershwin, Porter, Kern, and more. Call Ticket Omaha or go to omahasymphony.org.
What should I wear?
I love you just the way you look tonight.
Stir up the storm at Warner Park for a spectacular Saturday. You gotta come chase the fun.
Welcome back, everybody. We're continuing your WOWT 6 News coverage live from our newsroom, where our crews are already working for our next hour-long newscast coming up at 6. Now, we're going to be talking about a story where tears were actually flowing as a woman hears her son's heart beating in another man's chest. Her son died a few years ago. Well, today, WOWT 6 News reporter Erin Murray is showing us how the moment is helping raise awareness of the need for organ donation. Also new at 6, in Omaha, a woman takes a tumble on a city sidewalk. Why she says the city is to blame. 6 on Your Side's Mike McKnight is investigating. All new tonight at 6. Right now, though, we want to talk a little bit about that weather. Jared, just a little bit longer. How's it doing up there?
Yeah, sunshine's out, but still brisk northwest winds, so bundle up if you're heading out tonight. We're going to see plenty of sunshine through the weekend, but winds will stay on the breezy side.
Very deceiving out there. All right, thanks, Jared, and we'll see you all right back here at 6 o'clock.
WOWT 6 News is everywhere. Watch every newscast streamed live on our website and mobile app.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening. It's a major American city dealing with an epidemic of violence. The shooting of a man in broad daylight on the streets of Chicago, apparently captured on his own camera phone, have brought into jarring focus a surge in shootings that has made this the most violent start of the year that city has seen in 2 decades. The jump in shootings close to double the number from this time a year ago. NBC's Blake McCoy has details.
I need somewhere to duck and hide for cover.
This cell phone video making the rounds on social media appears to show the moment a man is shot in broad daylight. Chicago police say the man shot is a known gang member in critical condition tonight. While the video is shocking, shootings in Chicago are increasingly not. A whopping 677 through the end of March compared to 359 shootings this time last year. The violence in these streets is blamed on gangs and illegal guns. With bullets flying, kids often find themselves in the crossfire. 1 week ago tonight, 13-year-old Zariel Trotter was hit by a stray bullet while walking home from a basketball game with friends. He remains in the hospital.
He's going to fight, he's going to struggle, and I'm going to pray. That's what we do.
In a sad coincidence, Trotter appeared in an anti-violence PSA just last year.
I don't want to live around my community where I got to keep on hearing and hearing. People keep on getting shot, people keep on getting killed.
Chicago's new police superintendent is vowing to fight the gun epidemic. Yesterday alone, 9 people shot, 2 of them killed in less than an hour.
They are destroying our communities, they're destroying families, and it has to stop.
But the parents who live in these neighborhoods tell me the police are already here.
You don't think anything's going to change?
I hope it does, but so far we haven't seen any change.
Norma Johnson doesn't let her 9-year-old walk down the street.
It's sad out here. If it's not meant for you, it still comes your way. A bullet don't have a name on it.
The bullets don't have names, but the victims do. Blake McCoy, NBC News, Chicago.
Neighborhoods under siege in an American city. As we head into the weekend, wild weather is making news tonight from north to south. In the southern half of the country, it's tornadoes continuing to fire up and cause damage. And in the north, it's balmy temperatures about to take a dramatic plunge. A 40-degree swing and snow on the way. NBC's Miguel Almaguer has details.
For the 3rd straight day, hail, flooding, and possible tornadoes. A dangerous storm system threatening 9 million people across the southeast today. In Georgia, the town of Warner Robins inundated with major flooding. This morning at Robins Air Force Base, day turned to night. Tornado sirens blaring, 80-mile-per-hour winds. In Mississippi, the cleanup after several tornadoes touched down.
I was not coming this way.
The storm's taking a toll on this Columbus neighborhood. Trees slamming into Mark Oswald's home.
Had 3 on the house right here behind me and then 1 more over here on this side.
In Alabama, a swollen creek causing a partial collapse of this road. A van tumbling into the water. The ground soaked overnight in Hartselle. Torrential rains and wind damaging homes, taking down trees. To the north, the powerful system bringing in freezing conditions to Michigan. In Marquette, a layer of snow and ice.
A shift in the polar vortex causing a dip in the jet stream. By Sunday morning, wind chills will be in the single digits and teens. We're also looking at a few bouts of snow Sunday and Monday with minor accumulations.
Tonight, a tornado watch continues through Georgia and the Florida Panhandle. Mother Nature on a tear and on the move. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
Now to a dire warning from President Obama today as he closed out his final nuclear security summit. He sounded the alarm about the horrific consequences the world could face if these weapons ended up in the possession of terrorists. NBC's Andrea Mitchell has late details.
Hundreds of thousands of innocent people.
Tonight, the president's stark warning of the frightening nuclear threat facing the world. ISIS or other terrorists going nuclear.
There is no doubt that if these madmen ever got their hands on a nuclear bomb or nuclear material, they most certainly would use it.
The president saying terrorists would need only the smallest amount of plutonium, the size of an apple, to kill or injure hundreds of thousands of people.
It would be a humanitarian, political, economic, and environmental catastrophe.
Even more likely than a nuclear weapon, ISIS stealing radiological material, combining it with an explosive to make a dirty bomb, potentially contaminating an urban area, injuring thousands, costing billions to clean up.
But if it went off in downtown New York or some port, say the Port of Rotterdam or some other crucial asset place, you could have people that would not be able to utilize that place for 10 to 20 years.
Just last week, we learned ISIS bombers in Brussels, Khalid and Ibrahim al-Bakrawi, stalked and videotaped a nuclear scientist. Only 23 out of 130 countries have secured the nuclear material in their hospitals, universities, and power plants. But the elephant in the room tonight, for the first time, Vladimir Putin boycotted the summit. And without Russia and the U.S. working together, it will be difficult to keep nuclear weapons out of dangerous hands. Lester?
Andrea Mitchell, thanks. Now to the clash between the Democrats in the 2016 race. The late word that Bernie Sanders now wants an apology after Hillary Clinton angrily accused his campaign of spreading lies during a testy exchange with an activist. And it comes as he's turning up the heat on Clinton in a state she now calls home. NBC's Kristen Welker has more.
After trying to pivot to the general election, Secretary Clinton is now refocusing on the battle at hand. Bernie Sanders now challenging her on her home turf.
If I'm so fortunate enough to be your president, I will never forget New York.
In Syracuse today, Clinton courted working-class voters.
My opponent talks about free college. Anytime anybody tells you something is free, ask for the details.
But Sanders is surging, drawing a diverse crowd of more than 18,000 people in the Bronx last night.
If we win here in New York, we are going to make it to the White House.
Clinton maintains a double-digit lead in New York, but Sanders is catching up and seems poised to win Wisconsin, where he stumped today. Clinton feeling the heat, lashing out at an environmental activist yesterday who accused her of accepting money from the oil and gas industry.
I am so sick of the Sanders campaign lying about me. I'm sick of it.
Late today, Sanders hit back.
Secretary Clinton owes us an apology. We were not lying. We were telling the truth.
Clinton and Sanders have both received money from employees of the oil and gas industry. The political drama underscoring the high stakes of New York, which could be in play.
Democratic primary voters are far to the left of certainly most New Yorkers and to the National Democratic Party.
New York has 247 pledged delegates up for grabs. If Clinton wins here, she could all but put this race away. But a win for Sanders could be a game changer. Lester?
All right, Kristen Welker, thanks. Police in New Mexico have released harrowing video of a near-fatal mistake during a botched drug operation. An officer opening fire on someone he believed to be a suspect, only to realize seconds later that man is a fellow cop working undercover. NBC's Gotti Schwartz has the story.
An undercover sting gone horribly wrong. This newly released lapel camera video shows a police lieutenant shooting his own undercover officer 8 times.
That was Jacob.
The video captures the moment the lieutenant realizes who he shot.
Are you okay?
No. The officer survived but was hit in almost every major organ. The undercover sting over a $60 drug buy. Another lapel camera recording a suspect crawling away. LAPD's use of force expert Scott Reach says this shooting is a case of being unprepared.
If you don't train properly, these type of things happen.
Lawyers say the lieutenant had missed the morning briefing, saw a gun in the car, and somehow mistook his officer for the suspect. This week, the department announced a $6.5 million settlement with the officer that they shot and announced policy changes in officer training. The chief openly crying during a press conference.
My wife and I have become very close to them.
But this latest shooting controversy already came on the heels of a Department of Justice investigation into the use of force after other high-profile Albuquerque shootings. Tonight, yet another police apology and another promise for change. Gotti Schwartz, NBC News.
Millions of Americans are set for a pay hike as the biggest state and the biggest city in America announced deals to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. It's been a big source of contention in politics The news comes as we get strong new job numbers. Employers adding 215,000 jobs in March. The unemployment rate ticked up slightly to 5% as more Americans felt confident enough to jump back into the job market. We get all the latest from NBC's Joe Fryer.
After 3+ years of protests and strikes, workers behind the Fight for 15 movement can now declare victory in 2 states.
I will be able to financially support my son better.
Monday, California's governor will sign a bill raising the minimum wage to $15, a measure approved by lawmakers after contentious debate.
These are families that are saying, I'm struggling and no one is listening to me.
This bill, my friends, hurts those it pretends to help.
The state's current bottom wage, $10, will gradually climb to $15 by 2022. Analysts predict it will impact 1 out of every 3 California workers. Now New York is following suit. Lawmakers there reached a budget deal that would boost the minimum wage in New York City to $15 by the end of 2018, with slower increases across the rest of the state. But for many businesses, it's too much too fast.
At the end of the day, the consumer is going to pay for this.
Brad Rowan owns Vitello's Italian restaurant in California and fears he'll have to start raising prices and cutting staff.
$15 an hour is a great number, but when you're unemployed because you've been let go because the employer can't afford to keep you, 15 becomes 0.
While more cities and states are lifting their minimum wages, the federal floor of $7.25 still prevails in 21 states. So for millions, the $15 an hour club remains well out of reach, with no clear sign how far this wage wave will spread. Joe Fryer, NBC News, Los Angeles.
The FDA is making moves over concerns that have been raised for years about the potential health risks for children, including developmental delays from a type of arsenic found in small amounts in infant rice cereal, one of the first foods given to babies. NBC's Morgan Radford on the warning for parents.
Today, the Food and Drug Administration proposing new limits on a kind of arsenic found in infant rice cereal.
What we know is that arsenic can cause neurodevelopmental changes, but that's again at high exposures, at high levels. What we are taking today is a prudent step. It's a way that we can reduce exposure to arsenic.
According to the FDA, relative to their body weight, babies consume 3 times more rice than adults, mostly through their cereal, especially when they're 8 months old. But the FDA says 53% of rice cereal tested had too much inorganic arsenic, a naturally occurring substance that can cause developmental delays. But there are steps you can take.
Rice doesn't have to be the only infant cereal fed. There are many other cereals that are available for parents and caregivers, and we recommend varying the grains for these children.
Gerber, one of the leading baby food manufacturers, said in a statement, "We already meet the level proposed by the FDA. Levels adults should be concerned about, too."
We need to set standards across the board, and we're also concerned about the risks to adults as well.
The FDA saying rice should be just one part of a well-balanced diet. Morgan Radford, NBC News, New York.
Still ahead tonight, sipping and shopping, the trend that experts believe may be driving the rise of late-night online spending sprees. Also, look forward on what police have concluded about that knife found on O.J. Simpson's property.
Every auto insurance policy has a number. But not every insurance company understands the life behind it. Those who have served our nation have earned the very best service in return. USAA. We know what it means to serve. Get an auto insurance quote and see why 92% of our members plan to stay for life.
sleep? Getting enough? Or dreaming of more? A special series on sleep, Good Snooze. How to get the sleep you need on whatever schedule you keep. Next week on Today.
Tonight, a hometown hero murdered.
He was my Superman.
We were family.
The shocking accusation.
He's a monster.
You didn't see it.
Death of a champion.
We want justice.
Dateline, don't watch alone.
We're back now with the surge in what some are calling drunk shopping. More and more people kicking back with some wine or a drink of choice and clicking the buy button at their favorite stores online late at night. NBC's Kristen Dahlgren reports on the rise and how to prevent a big hangover when the bills arrive.
Got plans tonight? Dinner, a few cocktails, and some clicks? You're not alone if the urge to spend kicks in sometime after midnight Friday.
Shoes, clothes, a scooter.
Online retailer Lyst says orders are up 48% at 2 a.m. Friday, over the same time on a Monday. Late one night, Brittany Jaramillo decided to buy a Fitbit.
I drank a whole bottle of wine, and then I got a Fitbit for my mom, my dad, my sister, and myself.
Lyst says those late-night shoppers spend about 30% more than their school night counterparts.
It's all about that stress relief and anxiety. Purchasing something just gives you that happy surge, and it's certainly something people are looking for at the end of a long work week.
And it seems women are leading the charge.
The pieces that people want to shop for when they're feeling kind of sassy and a little bit sort of drunk confident is the pieces that make you feel good.
Dress sales are up a whopping 320% late Friday nights. Lingerie soars 50%, and shoe sales double, especially the expensive ones. So what can you do to help curb the urge? Experts say always check return policies. Don't save your credit card info online, and set up a separate email for all those offers.
Unfortunately for shoppers, the retailers are very aware that this is a trend as well, so they're seeing more targeted ads.
Ads that might just make you think you can't live without those.
Shoes, shirts, skis I didn't need.
Kristen Dahlgren, NBC News, New York.
We're back in a moment with the panic on the dock when all can't stop.
Sure, we could have stacked these tires or put them on a rack. But the specialists at Ford like to show off their strengths. 13 name brands, all backed by our low-price tire guarantee. Yeah, we're strong when it comes to tires. Right now, during the big tire event, get a $120 rebate by mail on 4 select tires.
When your Ford needs service, these are the specialists at Ford.
Don't let dust and allergies get between you and life's beautiful moments. With Flonase Allergy Relief, they won't. Most allergy pills only control one inflammatory substance. Flonase controls 6, and 6 is greater than 1. Flonase changes everything.
My opioid pain medication is slowing my insides to a crawl.
That's opioid-induced constipation, OIC, a different kind of constipation.
I'm really struggling to find relief.
Paint a different picture. Talk to your doctor about OIC and prescription treatment options.
Stanley Steamer is the first carpet cleaning service certified asthma and allergy friendly. It's our new standard of clean. Call about our $99 carpet cleaning special.
Call 1-800-STEAMER. Stanley Steamer, your certified cleaner.
You know, Viagra helps guys with erectile dysfunction get and keep an erection. Talk to your doctor about Viagra.
Ask your doctor if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Viagra if you take nitrates for chest pain or Adempas for pulmonary hypertension. Your blood pressure could drop to an unsafe level. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. Stop taking Viagra and call your doctor right away if you experience a sudden decrease or loss in vision or hearing.
Ask your doctor about Viagra.
This is Sheldon, whose long day setting up the news starts with minor arthritis pain and a choice. Take Tylenol or take Aleve, the #1 recommended pain reliever by orthopedic doctors. Just 2 Aleve can keep pain away all day. Back to the news.
Celebrate April Fuels Day at Hy-Vee and get a 10-cent Fuel Saver discount for every $15 in meat and seafood you buy when you use your Hy-Vee Fuel Saver Plus Perks card. Steaks, chicken, ribs, roasts, pork chops, deli meat, seafood, you name it. One day only. Friday, April 1st is April Fuels Day. Because at Hy-Vee, when it comes to saving you money, we never fool around. Get a 10-cent Hy-Vee Fuel Saver discount for every $15 in meat and seafood you buy this Friday, April Fuels Day. Only at Hy-Vee.
Some scary moments captured on camera when a 150-foot whale watching ship came to a stop in San Diego. Onlookers had to scatter back. Here, 47 passengers on board hurt. There are reports the ship's propulsion system malfunctioned. A huge debut for a highly anticipated car. A day after video of long lines of crowds at the Apple event, Elon Musk revealed the Tesla Model 3 has received 198,000 orders in just 24 hours of launching its more moderately priced electric car. The standard version starts at about $35,000, but the first ones are expected to go for tens of thousands more as customers add more features. NBC News has learned tonight that forensic tests have ruled out a knife found buried on O.J. Simpson's former property as the murder weapon in Simpson's infamous 1994 case. This, according to law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation. The knife made headlines weeks ago when its existence was revealed. A construction worker reportedly found it and turned it over to a police officer who held on to it for years. When we come back, our Friday Making a Difference. Crowded
Salonpas salutes you. People working hard to improve the world. You inspired us to improve these. Salonpas pain relieving patches. 20% larger with better adhesion and more medicine to fight pain than ever before. Salonpas, the patch you love, improved.
My Tempur-Pedic cuddles better than my husband does. But that's just between you and me. It's really cool to the touch.
At Mattress Firm, get 0% APR financing. Visit Mattress Firm, America's #1 Tempur-Pedic retailer today.
Seresto makes it easy to help protect your dog or cat from fleas and ticks. With the performance you expect from a monthly topical in a non-greasy collar, Seresto kills and repels fleas and ticks for 8 continuous months. Seresto from Bayer.
If you need an opioid to manage your chronic pain, you may be so constipated. It feels like everyone can go, except you. Opioid-induced constipation, OIC, is a different type of constipation, which may need a different approach. Longing for a change? Have the conversation with your doctor about OIC and ask about prescription treatment options.
Sleep.
Shining a spotlight on those in the community lending a helping hand.
That just affirmed what I knew, that I could do.
And on those you should meet that inspire us to be more. Local heroes and a job nicely done. Only on WOWT 6 News, live at 6.
Story about a school that has a lot more compassion than it does space. There aren't enough seats for all the girls who want to learn there. But rather than turn them away, this school found a pretty simple solution. Kelly Kobiea explains in tonight's Making a Difference report.
At this school for girls in Jordan, behind the smiles, trauma and loss. These are little girls who fled war in Syria, now in a foreign land, learning English.
You must put rubbish in the bin.
Principal Maha Salim Al-Ashkar says it was crowded before the refugees started showing up.
The school is full, but they big and even some of them wept.
So Principal Maha came up with a simple answer. If you want a place in school, bring a chair.
Just a chair.
And they did. Not just one girl, but one after another after another. Today, 1 in 5 girls here is Syrian. I want to be smart, Milad says.
When she came with her mother told me that, please, I want Milad just to write her name.
Hannah says she was afraid of school, even afraid to leave her mother. Now, she and Milad are 2 of the best students. The school has made them feel they belong, and that gives their parents hope.
They're looking to be a part of something for their children, to be a part of a community. And Miss Maha just can't say no.
Jill Biden even cheering her on. Principal Maha always finds room for just one more.
Maybe I will see some of them doctors, some of them engineers, some of them teachers. I will be very, very happy if I see that.
It starts with a chair. Kelly Kobiea, NBC News, Amman, Jordan.
And a big heart. That's going to do it for us on this Friday night. I'm Lester Holt. For all of us at NBC News, thank you for watching. Have a great weekend and good night.
On Dateline Saturday Night Mystery, her centerfold dreams ended on a hot Miami night. Death of a golden girl. Her last shot was a killer.
When we saw it, we go, wow.
Tomorrow on NBC. In her darkest NBC Omaha, your home for a full hour of news, weather, and sports. This is WOWT 6 News, live at 6.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Gill.
And I'm Matthew Smith. A woman hears her son's heartbeat for the first time in several years.
But the heart is no longer in his body. This is the kind of story that shows us why organ donations are so incredibly important. It's National Donate Life Month.
Our Aaron Murray is live in Nebraska Medicine with a really touching story.
That's right. After a few years of heart complications, an Omaha man, Terry Hooper, he was put on the transplant list. Well, just 52 days after that, he was called here to the Nebraska Medicine Lead Transplant Center. A donated heart was on its way.
The heart of a much younger man pumps in the chest of 64-year-old Terry Hooper.
Every day, every minute, every hour, all the time. I get up, I thank him. Go to bed, I thank him.
It's always been Terry's hope to meet the family of his donor, Levi Schultz.
2 months after Terry's transplant, he wrote to Levi's family. And just a few months after that, he got a response. And for a few years, this is how they corresponded. That is, until today.
Oh my God. Hey, how you doing?
It's so nice to meet you. You can't cry though, okay? Because then we won't get through this. Okay? Levi's mother Lisa and twin brother Shelby in from North Dakota. And after the hugs, they share the stories behind the donation.
And he says, Mom, who wouldn't want my awesomeness?
Levi's words before signing up to be a donor. Then in 2012, after getting a flat tire, he was hit on the side of the road by a pickup, killed almost instantly. At the same time here in Nebraska, Terry's heart, after years of problems, was giving out.
And 52 days later, I got young Levi's heart. because of a tragic story. It's I cry every.
Plenty of tears Friday inside Nebraska Medicine, especially when Lisa and Shelby heard Levi's heart for the first time since his passing.
Really good. It definitely sounds like it belongs there.
The sound captured and placed into a bear for them to hear anytime they want.
Got all that awesomeness.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, it's amazing that instant connection that they all immediately shared, even though this was the first time that they met face to face. Matt, Jessica, you know, Terry, he was so quick with the joke, and Lisa, Levi's mom, said that he had that very same quality. Terry telling us, well, it must all come from his heart.
Now, Aaron, was the heart Levi's only donation then?
No, actually, he donated most of his vital organs. He also donated eyes and parts of his skin, which actually, his mom tells us, helped close to 60 people.
Wow, 59 more stories just like that.
It's hard goosebumps.
Tears started to well up. Aaron, thank you so much.